Hailing frequencies open. I've been forgetting to say that for a
Oh
while.
no.
Welcome to our second Trek Retrek Live. We're here to talk
Yeah.
about the surprise 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds. We just
Surprise.
You're here on Geek the F Out. I'm Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
This is where we talk about Star Trek. I
Yes.
have seen almost all of it. Like I haven't watched the entire animated series, but I've watched all the live action stuff.
hmm
And Ensign Kayla, what have you seen?
I've seen 13 episodes of the original series and the Kelvinverse movies.
I think
That's it. I've seen nothing. I
I
know
think
nothing. I'm Jon Snow. I'm going to make that joke every time.
I think at this point you've seen more Strange New Worlds than you have the original series.
Yes, I have because I've seen all of Strange New Worlds twice now.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I watched the original series, some of them 3 times, so maybe not. But
but
technically, more episodes
more
of
episodes.
Strange New
Yeah.
Worlds. Yes, 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 definitely. But anyways, welcome everybody. Excited to talk about these 2 new episodes. Yeah, we were, primed to talk about one, but guess we're talking about two. And what a great second episode to talk about as well. They knocked it out of the park. But I realized we forgot to talk about this before. Do we want to do what we did before and like go through the episode and then do the that's what they said
Yeah, I think so. Since
and
we're
stuff?
covering two, let's just talk
Yeah.
about what we have to talk about, and then we'll do the that's what they said and the memes and the ranking together at the end.
Okay, cool. Hello everyone. Hi
Thank you
Brian.
everyone
Hi
for joining us.
Thanos. Thanks for joining us. Hi Allison. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon, smack all the things.
Follow all the things on
Yes.
Instagram and Twitter and Threads at
Mm-hmm.
GTFO channel.
Yep. I work hard on that one.
Yes,
I
Kayla.
try. Oh God, Comic
I've
Con was insane trying to keep up with that. I was after the first day, I was like, nope, that's it. That's all I can do.
Hi Eldor.
Hi.
Thank you for
Hi.
joining us.
Hi. Welcome in.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, everybody give Kayla much thanks for running the social media accounts because I could
Oh,
not. I wouldn't be able to do it. It would not be
I can
nearly
barely do it.
as prolific as it is with her doing it.
I
Um,
try. Yeah, anyways, let's get into it.
sure.
So, season 2, episode 5, or sorry, episode 6 is Lost in Translation, and this is a Uhura um centric episode.
I have
Love.
the I like for Trek Recheck. I do the stuff from IMDb and TV Guide. I actually found Paramount has log lines that are episode summaries. So
Ooh.
episode 206, Lost in Translation. This is
hmm
straight from the horse's mouth because this is right from Paramount. Ahura seems to be the only one who can hear a strange sound. When the noise triggers terrifying hallucinations, she enlists an unlikely assistant to help her track down the source. And when I saw
hmm
that like episode summary before watching the episode, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out who the unlikely assistant is because usually it's somebody obvious that you don't expect. And I actually had
Yeah.
no idea until the episode started who it actually ended up with being.
Who so not any guesses at all?
No, I was like,
Hmm.
who on the crew would be unlikely? The only one I'm like, Chapel, but
Yeah.
that doesn't seem unlikely. So
Yeah, it's
I wasn't
true.
sure. I thought it was gonna be like I literally had no idea. I wasn't
No
expecting
clue.
what it was.
Yeah, to be Kirk.
It
Again, spoilers.
Pelia could have been the other option as unlikely
True.
assistant because
Love her.
although they did talk in the very beginning of the episode and Pelia said something to Uhura about, you haven't even spoken to me. And I'm like, yes, she did. She was on the bridge when Spock stole the Enterprise. Uhura was the one who was like, "You're a Lanthanite, aren't you?"
Yeah. Maybe I was thinking of that too. I was like, didn't they say something? Um, maybe she meant like more than say something at her, like actually having a conversation. Maybe that's what Pelia meant.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Maybe it was something more along the lines of like,
Mm-hmm.
since I've come aboard, like, and become the chief engineer, you haven't had
Mm-hmm.
a conversation with me.
Yeah, that checks out. Um, yeah, this episode really pulled on the heartstrings a little bit,
Yeah, it
especially with
did.
the Hemmer stuff, and just that these beings are trying to call out for help, and Uhura and that one other dude is like the only people that can hear them, and like, she feels really bad for them, and then Pike ends up listening to her and taking her for her word, and like that was a great moment. So there's a lot of heartstrings being pulled in this episode, and um I liked that. My tear ducts did not like that though.
Yeah, I was reading some discussion around the episode online after it aired, and that was one of the things that people called out was like Pike trusting that Uhura knew what was going on,
Mhm.
like Pike being the kind of leader you want to work for. Like he
Yep.
he knows that the people he's put in position know their stuff, and
Yep.
he doesn't question them. He trusts if they are sure about something, he'll go with them. That's why they're in that
Mhm.
position. Um,
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I
I
really I really liked that moment.
I
Sorry, go
think
ahead.
I think something that has been used to describe Star Trek before has been, I don't think this was the exact word, but something along the lines of like competency fantasy. Like people are competent in their positions, and that's not the
Oh.
case in the real world.
Wait, that's so funny. Yeah, it's not the case in the real world at all.
Like these
That's
people
so funny.
know how to do their jobs and
Yeah.
are good at their jobs. And that's just not
Mhm.
something that necessarily happens in the real world all the time. You have people that
Mhm.
you end up working for who don't know what they're doing, and that's where the competency fantasy comes in into Star Trek.
That's so true. Wow, I've never okay. Now a new term that I know now. Lots of knowing. Speaking of Uhura, love her stud hoops in this episode. Was a big fan of those because it was like a double and it was a stud. It wasn't technically a hoop. It's a new trend where it's like there's a piece in the front and the back part is like a piece that's bigger, so it makes it look like a dangly earring rather than a stud earring. Sorry, people that don't have pierced ears are like, the fuck you talking about?
I've seen it too with like they do similar things with like tunnels and gauges. Like they have those fake.
Mm,
They're just studs, but when you're wearing them, they could look like you had like discs or tunnels or gauges or whatever you want to call them.
yeah.
Thanos, yes, I've had that fantasy since Star Trek: The Next Generation,
That
for
would
sure.
be amazing if people were competent, but they just aren't. Our society is very lazy, but what are you going to do about it?
Watch
Not
Star
much we
Trek
can.
and
Yes.
fantasize.
Yeah, pretty much. Um I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say, does Ahura have her own place now that she's an ensign? Cuz didn't she have roommates before?
Yeah, she slept in the wall essentially. She was in the
Yeah.
bunks.
Like
Uh,
bunks in the wall.
yeah.
Snakes on a plane, bunks in a wall.
There's been some talk about this, and it's one of those things. Like sometimes you just have to say this is being made
Mhm.
in 2023.
Yep.
The original series was made in 1967. Things change. People are talking
Yeah.
about the Enterprise is so much more spacious, and there's this, that, and the other thing that wasn't on the original set. I get it. I understand. There was a little bit of a nudge in canon as to why the Enterprise might look like it was downgraded in Kirk's time versus Pike, even though Kirk
Mm-hmm.
is on the Enterprise after Pike. But it really just boils down to, guys, it's 2023. We can do better. Like,
Yeah.
if they could have done
But
this back then, maybe that's what it would have looked like.
yeah, I'm just curious, yeah, if because she ranked up that she now gets her own bed and not
I think that's the
roommates.
case
Okay.
because,
Sorry.
and I think it's probably not, because one of the things that, especially with the future episode of Lower Decks, some ensigns, generally the lowest rank on the ship, will have to share quarters, but
Mm,
department heads and like chiefs, which Ortega was shown to have her own quarters in,
mm-hmm.
I think it was just the episode before this one, uh, or no, it was the Lotus Eaters. Was that the one before this? It was 2 episodes ago when they were losing their
Oh, the one
memory.
before this was charades,
Yeah,
because I will not forget that episode.
it was the one before. It was the one before charades, the Lotus Eaters, when they went back to Rigel Seven,
Mm, mm-hmm.
and they were having trouble with their memory. She had
Yeah,
her own quarters, and
that's
she's
right.
also an ensign, but she's like the main pilot. So I feel like she's
Wait,
like the
how is she an
department
ensign
head,
when she's lieutenant?
or is she lieutenant?
Yeah, she's Lieutenant Ortegas,
My bad.
right?
Yes,
What the heck?
I
I know something more than you do.
I
That's
apparently
embarrassing.
am just reaching to reaching to validate my own hypothesis. I'm thinking that Uhura is now chief communications officer, and because she's like
Mm,
the head of her department, that's why she has her own quarters, even though she's an ensign. But yeah, she was like sleeping in a hole in the wall previously because she was a cadet at the time.
yep. Yep,
Um,
yep. Um, my next note is like the when she has those dreams where she's in like a field and she sees smoke is the smoke monster from Lost, which hopefully some people understand, but that's what it reminded me of.
I don't, but I
Yes,
make a
I know.
connection to I think it was Alioth from Loki.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The big monster, which I think I made that same reference about it at the time that it reminded me of the smoke monster. Um, especially because it was like consuming things. Spoiler alert.
And we find out later in the episode what that smoke is, and it's not great. Um,
Yeah. I yeah, took me a second to put that together. um yeah, and then Kirk's back, baby, which I was hoping there'd be a little more intrigue between Kirk and Lon. Ow.
mhm.
But it looks like there's going to be that in the next maybe episodes or so. I think I saw that in like one of the previews.
I think he comes back. He comes back at least
Yeah.
one more time this season
I feel like
as
they're
James
really
T. Kirk.
yeah, I feel like they're really setting up for a whole new TOS with Kirk
Some
with
people
all of
have,
this.
yeah, some people have postulated that, thinking that they might be
It's
doing
a big
another. Yeah, um,
word.
it's that's I'm all for it. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure there would be backlash,
Mhm.
but they could always do it as, here are things that happened between other TOS episodes that you've already seen, because it's a five
Yeah.
year mission. So it's a five
Mhm.
year mission, and we only saw 3 of it in live action. The other 2 were covered. The other 2 ish
Mhm.
were covered in the animated series, whose
Oh. Okay.
canonicity is kind of wibbly wobbly. Um,
Canonicity. Is that a word?
it is now.
We'll make it a word. It's
Um,
canon.
but there was also a second 5 year mission between the end of the series and Star Trek the Motion Picture, so they could also cover that. But
Ooh.
I would be
Or they can do a different timeline,
there's
technically.
also been hints that there's one of the theories that's going around the fandom is that they're trying to establish that the original series was actually a different timeline.
Oh.
So there's that possibility too. And this is a point we really
I was about
don't
to say.
know
Mhm.
when in TOS, like, do when we pick up in the original series, is that Kirk's first day on the Enterprise as captain? We actually don't really know.
Exactly.
Um,
They definitely have some wiggle room with it, and yeah, I would be down to see it, but I'm, yeah, also a very new fan. I'm sure there are a lot of toxic fans that are like, "Oh no, I don't want, I'm just gonna say no
my
because
canon.
no, my canon. I can't just enjoy things."
I don't
God,
want to. I don't like to
do
make fun
not.
of people, but I am very. Uh, I've said before. I think canon is overrated. Like, if it's a good
Yeah,
story, if you
just
enjoy
enjoy
watching
the
it,
ride.
go for it.
Life's too short. Just enjoy the ride. Who gives a fuck?
On the one
Anyways.
hand, I would be about like a redone the original series, but on the
Hmm.
other, I'd also kind of like to see something live action after the end of the Next Generation movies. Um,
Okay.
with that time frame, but what I mean, as long as we've got Star Trek, Strange New Worlds has been ridiculously good so far.
So
So
good. So good.
So yes, Kirk comes back. I also would have liked to have seen more between Kirk and
Hmm.
La'an. Um,
Hmm. Get that chemistry a brewing.
but hey,
Brewing again.
always leave you wanting more, right?
Yes. Edging us out. um it was very interesting to see this kind of rivalry with Kirk and Sam, or
Mhm.
Kirk and Kirk.
Yeah,
Sam and James.
James and
um
George,
James and
Tiberius
George.
and Sam.
There's so many fucking names. Can they just pick one name? Um, yeah, it was interesting to see that. Do they go into that on anything else? Sorry, you can, Thanos. But
Yeah, this is an interesting point. It would be interesting to see uh, like a series around Kirk while he's still on the Farragut, or his career up to becoming captain. Kind of
yeah.
like uh, we'll talk about that. Um, kind of like oh, I'm interested to see how we get Spock to the point he is at the beginning of the original series. How we get Uhura there. How these
Yeah.
characters end up the way they are at the beginning of the original series.
Hmm.
It would be interesting to
Yes.
see Kirk having adventures as first officer on the Farragut. Because one of the things, and they play around with this a little bit more in Strange New Worlds, first officers are really the ones who like go on the away missions and have the adventures more so than the captains,
Hmm.
at least after uh, the original series. Because in the original series, the show
Okay.
is about Kirk, so Kirk is always beaming down to the planet and getting in trouble, as we've
Always beaming
seen.
down.
So yeah, that would
Always
be
gotta
that
get
would
in
be an
trouble.
interesting possibility too. But um, yes, James and George Sam George have it's an interesting
Too
dynamic.
many names.
Yes, George Samuel Kirk does show up elsewhere. Um, no spoilers, but yes, we will meet George Samuel Kirk in the original series at a certain point in time.
Okay. New gym giving more Pine vibes, and yeah, I would agree with that. There's definitely some Shatner vibes. Um, there's definitely some Shatner vibes there. I think he's trying with a few of his mannerisms, but I mean, it is Paul Wesley who was Stefan in the Vampire Diaries, so he's gonna have that like cool, elusive, not as playboy as his brother in that show, but like he knows he's the shit kind of vibes. that I think Chris Pine gives off more of.
And I think, and you can speak to this because you're probably familiar with the Shatner cadence from all the
Yeah.
impressions that people do. Like, that's not how Kirk actually speaks in the show. Like,
No, it's not. It's completely not.
that's what
It,
people think of
yeah.
when they
Mhm.
think of Shatner and
Mhm.
Captain Kirk. But that's
Yeah.
not how he talks.
No.
I think a
It is
lot of
not.
our perception is the exaggerated Captain Kirk impression.
Oh my god, Brick. When's Damon gonna show up and trigger Kirk? The Vampire Diaries. Vampire Diaries. That's Paul Wesley's brother's character's name is Damon, who is played by Ian Somerhalder, who is in Lost. Bring it all back to Lost because everything comes back to Lost. You're
It's like
welcome.
6 degrees of separation, but like
Yes.
6 degrees of lost.
Lost.
Um,
Which works because like compass and degrees. Yep. Anyways, full on nerds now. Finally we get some Chapel and Spock action. I was like, we just had this big episode that built up to them. When are we gonna get them in this episode? What the dick? Yes, we're all multifaceted nerds here. That is why we geek the F out, because we have a lot of geeky things. I only watch shows where Ian gets crushed by a plane. I'm dead. And we get their interaction around 3D chess.
as
AKA,
you like to say, butt plugs.
damn it.
Sorry, I stole it from you. I didn't mean to steal it from you.
Motherfucker.
You can say
3D butt plug chess. My roommates are gonna hear this and be like, "What are you talking about?
What are you
butt plug chess?"
That's a Kickstarter.
Yes. But like anyone looking at those little things, they kind of reminded me of I don't know, I'm probably going to be the only one that knows this, but there's dog toys that kind of look like that, but they're either kind of fish shaped, but they have those like layers to them that the little pieces have, and they're like rubbery little toys, and it reminded me of those dog toys, and I was like, okay, either butt plugs or those dog toys. There's
Yeah,
no
that
in
one.
between.
That one is out my wheelhouse.
Yeah. But we got the Saurian brandy again with the flaccid, it has a flaccid neck on it. I thought that was
Sorry, and
funny.
Andy is pretty popular.
Yes, any chest piece can be a butt plug.
Anything's
Not
a dildo
wrong.
if you're brave enough.
Yes, I have a magnet on my fridge that says that.
Of course you do.
Yes, on my mini fridge, which is full of pickles. So, me.
Very on brand.
Yes. I was gonna say their interaction too of whether or not to tell Starfleet about their relationship was interesting because yeah, there's a lot of complications with it because like he just broke off his took some time with
T'Pring.
why T'Pring. I almost said T'Pril. I was like, no, that's her mom.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Don't want to confuse those two. T'Pring, and that would not look really good if they automatically, were just like, we're together. It's like, were you cheating on her? Which, maybe emotionally, but depends on how you define that.
Yeah, I don't know how Vulcans
The
define
Vulcans.
the break that like, because all really
Yeah.
T'Pring said
Is
was, I
this
think we
like,
should spend some time apart. Like,
yep. Is this going to be like the Star Trek version of Friends? We were on a break. Spoiler, I've only seen that show once and I'm not a big fan. Probably a hot take, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm very curious how they're gonna move forward with that. So for now, they're like, we're just gonna play around with it
because it was very official during Serene Squall when they had their hijinks and Spock and Chapel kissed on the bridge in front of T'Pring. Like they were very very official about we're done. This was just we need to spend some time apart. Maybe that means, for all intents and purposes, they are not together right now until they reunite.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about Vulcan culture. Maybe that's the implication.
Nope.
It's hard to say. Or they're just, because I assume it's a monogamous relationship, hence
Mm-hmm.
the official, like, you're released because
Yep.
you're
You're
having
really.
an affair with Chapel. Now you're actually having an affair with Chapel. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes and what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. And we'll get into it next episode. Just breaks my heart. Because like what happens, technically.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, and Ahura's visions are they're all very intense visions. If I was her, I would go crazy myself. Like, oh, and then also everyone telling you you're crazy on top of it
Mm-hmm.
is just, I felt for her a lot. And, her trying to tell people, no, I'm not crazy, this is happening. And
Well, there's
just completely decks Jim. And then that's her ally that she gets to help her.
right, because there's kind of a red herring about it too with the deuterium poisoning thing. Yeah, and Benga tells her, yeah, like deuterium poisoning can cause hallucinations, and
Mhm.
it's not until she decks Kirk and they get to talking that he's like, I've had deuterium poisoning. The
Mhm.
hallucinations from it are not this bad. Something else is going
Yep.
on.
Yep. 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 Oh dear God. I made the mistake of looking at Discord.
Sure did.
Yep. Um, okay, I'll save that line that I have. Guardians of the Galaxy-esque scene where the dude is frozen in space. I mean, that happens in a lot of things, but just because Guardians of the Galaxy is fresh on the mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ultimately was trying to save them, save the beings, the
Yeah.
unseen beings. Um, just didn't know how to articulate that and just decided to do things without telling anyone. Which I totally get that. Like, who's like, just with Ahura, like, who's gonna fucking believe you?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so might as well sabotage. Um, yeah, and then the whole Pelia versus Una stuff was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, because it ultimately turned out to be the grade that she gave her. Which was so good because Pelia was like, "Oh, you deserved that C."
Yeah.
Like,
I
no
liked.
taking it back. I fucking love her. She's so good.
Actually, I'll save the comment I was just gonna make for lines because that's kind of really where it
Okay.
fits
Yeah,
in.
I have a lot of she just has such great lines. Um,
But was it the grade? Well, was it the grade though? Because I think I don't, because it's in that same scene where she's like, "It's not the grade. It's that every time you see me, you think of your friend."
yes, it exactly. But like that was that's what she said is what I mean.
Right.
But yes, it was a reminder that Hemmer isn't there, and it's just so sad. And also, he was so creepy as the zombie
Yeah,
thing.
Zombie Hammer was
So
fucking
creepy.
nightmare fuel. It was great
So creepy.
and it was awful. It
Yeah.
was fantastic.
um yeah, and I really enjoyed the scenes between Kirk and her, and then of course the one where Spock comes in at the end, but specifically between them two where he's, comforting her and supporting her, and it was just great to see this side of him. And I was once again like, you're setting him up real well for his own series. We'll see. Um yeah, I really liked those scenes a lot. Um and then when they go and see Sam, so then it kind of like brings them all back together and shows that shows Kirk that Sam, you know, he may not be as high ranking as James is, but you know, he still can contribute, and like he's still smart and has ways to help out the ship and the people on the ship, without being, you know, on the track of being captain, essentially. Um, and I really liked when he was talking about the fringe theories, because it made me think of the show Fringe, which I love. I got really excited about that. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, and then the end where Spock meets Kirk. That's pretty much my last note. I mean, besides, we kind of already talked about this, but with, you know, Pike totally putting all of his faith in Uhura and just being like, okay, like let's do what you say. Like, I trust you, I believe you. Like that was great. That was a great moment. Already kind of talked about it, but yeah.
One of the things someone pointed out about that I read was like Pike didn't even feel the need to say like carry out the order. He just nodded at La'an,
Mhm.
and she
Mhm.
did what Uhura suggested. Like she fired on
Yep.
the collector.
Yep. That was great.
Yeah.
And yeah, that whole moment where it's funny how Spock comes over to Kirk and Uhura because he's picking up, was it just like Kirk's extra glass that he had or something?
Yeah, I think Sam left because
Sam.
it harkens
Did
back
Sam?
to charades where Spock is freaking out on Sam about like the
Yeah.
crumbs on the table and the like empty
Leaving
plate.
everything
Yeah.
behind.
Uh,
Mhm. Yeah. That's so
so
funny.
James Kirk and Spock bond over how frustrating Sam Kirk
Mhm.
is, or
Mhm.
siblings in general, because Spock has some
Mhm.
sibling issues as well.
Yes, he does. Yeah, it was a good episode. Yeah, pulled on the heartstrings. Very different story. Had a lot of different stories within it too. Yeah, do you have anything else to say about Lost in Translation?
I do not.
Okay. Shall we move on?
You know, uh,
Or do you want to do lines and
let's do
scenes?
lines and scenes
Okay.
from uh,
Lost in
Lost in Translation before I
Okay.
forget about it.
Okay.
The one that really sticks out to me is when Ahura and Pelia are talking about, because Ahura's there with like the recording of Hemmer and she's like tweaking the subspace radio, and,
Mhm.
and Pelia's like, something like he was a really good engineer.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He was entirely average. I just said that because he's dead.
Yes. I have that one written down too. I was like, classic Pelia. So good. So good.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. Um yeah, I had that line down, and then let me see the other ones. There were a couple. Oh, I think your nightmare visions are turning you into a sadist. When Kirk said that
That
to
was a
her.
good one.
That was funny. And then another Kirk line was, you can let death win or you can fight back. I liked that a lot. I thought I had more, but I guess that's it. Um, I think as far as moments, do you have any other lines? Sorry.
No, that's the one that sticks out in my head. I was slacking and thrown off because I was on vacation and not expecting to have to talk about 2 episodes, so I don't have any notes. So, but that's the major one that stuck out in my
I
head
mean, you
was
were
that
technically
one.
back from vacation. Just saying, I was on vacation.
Yes,
I wasn't even on vacation. I was at Comic-Con. It was a nonstop fuck fest.
I was
Not
on a vacation I didn't want
literally.
to go on.
True. But this episode came out after you got back. So, um
Did it? Oh,
yeah,
it
it came
did.
out
That's how
Thursday.
screwed up my whole perception of everything is. Like I feel like this was the one that came out when I was on vacation, but no,
No.
that was among the Lotus Eaters. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just
Um,
slacking. I'll get
yeah,
back
you're
on.
slacking.
I'll
I
get
did
back
this
in
while I was
routine
still
shortly.
in San Diego, and I watched it again today for the content, even though I've been up for almost 15 hours now. Y'all are welcome.
I'm
I'm
not.
going to sleep.
I'm also not used to watching Strange New Worlds in the way that I've been watching TOS, as like with a mind to cover it. So I haven't even really thought about taking notes. Anyway, let's go to episode 207.
Mm-hmm.
Those old scientists.
Yes.
An accident
So good.
while investigating a time portal sends Ensign Brad Boimler through time from the 24th century, and Captain Pike and his crew must get him back where he belongs before he can somehow alter the timeline. Now, I took the liberty of sending you a spoiler-free version of the very first episode of Lower Decks.
You did.
There weren't too many big spoilers in there, but there were a couple that I edited out.
Yep. Thank you for that.
So that you could have an idea of these characters you were going to see rather than just going into it blind.
Which I took a couple notes on it, but there wasn't really anything except for the nude training.
Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah, that was pretty much it. No one should be surprised that was.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I mean, and the fact that I titled my note as Lower Dicks instead of Lower Decks.
Yep. I'm not.
No one should be surprised. Nope.
Not at all surprised.
Yep.
So this episode starts with animation on Lower Decks on the Cerritos. And they kind of did it in a way that if you hadn't watched Lower Decks and weren't familiar with the characters, you still got a sense of their personalities and whatnot.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they talk about it, I think it's at the very beginning, when they're getting ready to beam down to investigate the portal. Boimler says those old scientists, and Mariner's like, you picked that up from Ransom. Why do you keep calling them that? And that joke and that whole thing has already been explained in an episode of Lower Decks. So, like, if you've watched Lower Decks, you already got those old scientists reference. But they explained it here for people who might not watch Lower Decks, which was, I think, cool.
Yeah. For people like me that have not seen it yet. But now, after watching it, I'm like, I want to go watch Lower Decks now.
You really can't. I
can't?
No, Lower Decks relies way too much on you having watched the original series, Enterprise, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, everything. Lower Decks is, I don't think, something you can watch until you've watched the rest of Star Trek.
Damn it.
Unless you're okay with things getting spoiled for you, because they're, like, I had to edit out. And that was a tame episode in terms of references.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Anyways, we can get into it. Oh, also they had the crossover intro, which was cool.
Yeah, the animated intro for Strange New Worlds based on Lower Decks with the with the little, like, tardigrade space entity sucking on the nacelle as the Enterprise, like it does for the Cerritos in the Lower Decks intro.
It was cute. I appreciated that, and but they still kept Pike's voice, which was good. Yeah, it's what Thanos was just saying about
yeah,
is it Boimler, yeah, geeking the F out. It's funny because they all ended up doing it throughout the episode, even like Uhura, Spock, and I forget who else was there at the end, towards the end of the Ortegas. Yeah,
Ortega and Uhura were the ones who were also geeking the F out over the original Enterprise crew.
So was Spock. He was there too. That's what I was just saying.
He wasn't doing the, like, fanboying as much.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have emotions.
Or, wow. That's
Wow.
something that they
Wow. The
cover
creepy
in this episode.
smile. The creepy smile, the laughing. And it's funny because they did it in a way that did stand out to you because he has been doing those things, but they really were just like, ooh, let's put this. Oh, yeah.
And they
So you
focus
think
like,
I have a creepy smile? You really, you have a creepy smile too. I won't do mine. I don't want to terrify people.
yeah, oh,
It's
that
real
one,
bad
yeah, don't
though.
do that.
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
he's seen it. It's bad.
uh, yeah. So we start on the Cerritos with them beat me down, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty bog standard lower deck stuff. Although they set up stuff for later in the episode in
Yep.
the live action section of it, and then Boimler gets yeeted through the portal.
You know the term yeeted.
Unfortunately, yes, I do. Um,
He does. I will say that line. The portal's trying to portal me.
yeah.
I died. That was so funny.
And he's like, "Remember me," as he's getting sucked through.
Yep.
Um, and it was
Yeah. It.
funny, kind of meta when he sees them. He's like, "Oh, you're very realistic."
Yeah. And then he even like pokes Pike too, and then or says like computer like ends simulation or something like that. End program. Was that
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was another reason why I wanted you to see that first episode of Lower Decks, because it gave you like a real crash course on the holodeck and what a holodeck is.
Mm,
Which is why he was like he thought he was in a holodeck simulation.
that's fair. I would think that too if I was animated and suddenly went into real life, or vice versa. Dear God, that'd be crazy. Um, uh, is interesting because he couldn't interfere with things, but he could find a way to get them to the Orion ship without them looking. That was a
Yeah,
great little loophole there.
I liked Una and Pike's, because Una's immediately like, "No, we can't. Wait, would that work?"
Can we?
And then that's exactly what they do.
Yep. That is what they do. And I'll say this line too because it's nothing crazy. But when Ortegas is like, "Future boy did it,"
Yeah,
and they keep calling them kids, which is funny because I think they're like the same age as some of them.
yeah, yeah. Boimler and Mariner are probably in their 20s, uh, maybe close to 30. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just like probably Uhura, not far off from Ortegas,
Mm-hmm.
Chapel, I would imagine. Um,
Yeah. Which is interesting because then Uhura mentions how she's 22. I'm like, bitch, you're only 22? What the fuck am I doing with my life?
I mean, she fast tracked. She must have gone right to the academy at 18 and been done
Yeah,
in 4 years and got posted to the Enterprise.
clearly.
Uhura is a wunderkind.
What you said. Um, and then when why am I blanking on her name?
Mariner.
Mariner. I was about to say Meredith. When Mariner comes over and her and Boimler are talking, and she's like, "Wow, Sock is so hot." I was like, "Girl, yeah,
I knew that was the minute you were
all
like,
of
I love
us."
Mariner.
Yes. And she's like, "The body, the face, the ears, what?" It's like, "Yeah, exactly." And she even says, "Hot Spock agrees with me." So good. So good. That was great.
The Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks writing crews apparently worked together very closely for this
Mhm.
episode. So they got Boimler and Mariner's personalities down right in the writing for. Actually, I think the writer of the episode was a Lower Decks writer, if I'm
Mm,
not mistaken.
that checks out. And I just fucking Pike being annoyed by them the whole entire time, which we'll get to on memes, was just
Yeah,
his facial expressions.
Pike very much had his dad moments this episode.
Mhm. He really did. Um Yeah, and how Mariner was super excited to see her, and their interactions together were
Hmm.
awesome. Loved that. Um, and then I saw this in a meme, but I don't know if he did it in the episode of Lower Decks that I watched, but Boimler's fast walk, like wiggle walk that he did.
I don't think he did it in the pilot of Lower Decks, but he's done it in
Okay.
other episodes. And
Yeah,
fucking Jack Quaid, man, he nailed the mannerisms of that walk. Like, I don't know
it
how
was
a
great.
human can move like that. Like, it was kind of
It's because he's like a
disconcerting.
twig.
It
He's a
must
twig,
be.
so it's easy. I think
Uh,
either that or they like CGI'd it a
maybe
bit.
they might have altered it a little bit in
Yeah,
post.
it was great. It was so good. It's funny. Oh wait, never mind. Just kidding.
Okay.
Um Okay, yeah. I said Uhura is 22. Oh, and then I want to try the Orion Hurricane. That shit looks good, especially if you can suddenly be in animation. That's awesome. Apparently you have to have a lot of them though.
You need actual Orion to block, so that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
difficult to.
That's right. Dang, I'm gonna have to look for it on eBay or something. The black market. Um, yeah, and Spock's interactions with Boimler when they're what are they doing again with that thing?
Synthesizing the heronium. They're trying to
Synthesizing the
synthesize
Hermione.
heronium.
And Spock is pretty much saying like, "Oh, you're implying that I lose my emotions."
Yeah, Spock figured it out real quick.
Yeah, and then I'm like, "Wait, fuck. I wonder if he never interacted with Boimler, would he have gone through with it?" Because
That's a
he's like, well, it
question.
has to happen for all these other things to happen.
But
And I'm like, fuck you, Boimler.
Spock also does say, and this is one of the things that talks about converging timelines. Spock says, it is logical that I have to be true to myself and the path that I am on in this time."
Hmm.
So this is one of the things I was talking about. People are speculating that they might be trying to like make it that the 1967 original
Ooh.
series is actually an alternate timeline, and then have a new TOS that fits in between Strange New Worlds and Next Generation or whatever else. I mean,
Yes,
I could go
because
for an Enterprise B or Enterprise C show myself as well. I wouldn't mind seeing those.
hashtag chalk or hashtag shopple forever. I just thought of those. um, yeah, because shock and chapel. Yeah, okay. Second guessing myself with those. Um, yeah, well, I guess we'll just have to
And
see.
that's one of the things I said before and earlier in this episode is that I'm curious to see how they get Spock from where he is now to where he is at the beginning of the Man Trap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Sans
it's a very different
emotions.
character. Hmm.
Very different. And they mention Q.
They do. Do you know anything
Mm-hmm.
about Q?
Mm-mm.
Good.
I think you've mentioned that before, though. Or Q's been brought up for something, and then I was like, I only think of Q from James Bond.
That's fine. Keep thinking of it that way. You've got a long
Okay,
ways to go.
cool. Um, I go ahead.
I was gonna say we'll have it in memes. We're only about 4 episodes away from the other name that they mentioned in TOS, Tree Lane.
Oh yeah, I heard that too, but I was just like, I don't know. I've heard Q
Yeah,
before. I haven't heard that. I fucking loved that Una is the poster woman for Starfleet.
that was a great
Fucking
callback too.
fucking love that so much at Aspera per Aspera, right?
Yeah,
Um, amazing. That I love how they bring that full circle and you can just see how emotional she gets. She's like, "Oh, shit. damn. And then she immediately goes like, oh, you shouldn't be telling me this thing, but like, thank you.
Yeah, your blatant disregard for temporal protocols is concerning,
Mm-hmm.
but thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when she was
Uh,
like, they put that on the poster, like
yeah. I
validation
started
for her.
I started tearing up a bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean it's a testament to this show, and it's such a goofy freaking episode, which is still fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can still give us these moments. Yeah, the which we talked about it, but we also didn't talk about Boimler and Chapel on the turbo lift. That was a gut punch for Chapel.
Yeah. Yeah. That was hard. That was hard. I will not lie. Like you just see her face and then it's interesting because she does like tell Spock and go to Spock about it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that and she didn't like hide it from him or anything because I would be very conflicted about that.
I don't.
Um
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Go.
I don't know if you caught it, but when she was saying, I didn't think that I would be able to influence him forever, and then she
Mhm.
like looks down, like plays with her hands, and very unconvincingly was like, "Don't even want that." Like she's been very relationship averse the whole series, but not with
Yep.
Spock,
Yep.
and she's kind of like
She
still
says a
trying to
soft
tell
spot.
herself that that's not what she wants. But
Yeah.
it certainly seems to be, especially with what we see with Chapel in the original series. She
Mhm.
obviously carries this torch for Spock, despite being married to Roger
Mhm.
Corby. Uh, Carries this torch for Spock. They are
Whoops.
star-crossed lovers in more ways than one, apparently.
Secret lovers. That's what we are. Um, yeah.
So that was a
It
gut
breaks my
punch.
heart.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm like, can we
Touching.
stop knowing about all these little future things? Like, I know we as an audience know, but can the characters stop knowing? It's hard because then, yeah, it just makes things even messier, too.
I liked. This is very true. Uh,
Mm,
Vulcans also are, aside from being renowned for logic and uh, I can't think of the word I want to use, but
reason?
tempering is suppressing their emotions.
Oh.
Vulcans are also very personal. Like they don't share a lot with
Mm,
non-Vulcans.
private.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also liked the the discussion with Mariner and Boimler and Pike in his quarters, where Boimler essentially talks Pike into letting the crew throw him the birthday party.
Yes.
Uh,
That was good.
it's a good
It's like,
point.
do it for the other people.
Yeah, Boimler
Mm-hmm.
turned Pike's reasoning around on him, which
Mm-hmm.
was great.
He
And
did.
Boimler, Brad Boimler,
He's a
goddamn,
great character. And fucking Quaid.
Jack Quaid is great. He's great.
He's killing it right now.
He's great in The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's which now
Playing this.
there's that connection between him and Carl Urban. They've both been because Carl Urban
Oh
was
yeah.
Bones in
Mm-hmm.
the Abrams Star Trek movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just got distracted by
He's in Oppenheimer too.
Carl or
No,
Jack.
Jack Quaid. Mm-hmm. He's
Um,
killing it. Crushing it. Crushed it.
I guess he's also doing the voice of Superman in this new
Oh yeah,
Superman
he
animated
is.
show.
I
Yeah,
watched the first two episodes. I need to
yeah,
watch the rest
I
of
did too.
them.
I haven't watched any more yet.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I forget. Someone was talking about it on the Geek Dad Life Discord about
Mm-hmm.
the switch with Lois and Jimmy and Clark all being the same age
Mm.
and same like same position, all being interns. So it's an interesting way to switch up the dynamic and
Yeah.
modernize things.
It's just like a
Um,
cute, I like the anime style
mhm.
show. Yeah. Anyways, talking about Star Trek.
Yeah. When we're live, we're
Spock.
bound to get more off track than when we're recording.
Spock did the thing. Has he
And
done it
Boimler
in
was.
Strange New Worlds?
Um,
I don't know if
I
he
think he had.
has.
He has to have, right? It's maybe. I just.
I know he
I
definitely
don't
hasn't in
remember.
TOS. It has not happened in
It's not
TOS
happened to us
because
yet.
we have not talked about it because that would be a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he has because I think I also would have wrote it down, but
Maybe.
maybe to say goodbye to someone. I don't know. And then I liked how they turned the Strange New Worlds peeps into
Yeah.
animation at the end too. That was cute.
Yeah, at the end for
That
the
was real
party,
cute.
for the legitimate Orion
Party.
Hurricanes. So
Yes.
apparently, Orion DeBlock makes you hallucinate and think that you are an animated character.
I want to try some of that shit. Plus, it
Um,
literally like a lot of like hurricane drinks are like blue or green, so I thought that was funny that they made
I
it
did not
green.
know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like fishbowl
Um,
drinks. Fun fact.
there's so much good
That's
about this episode. Like,
yes,
and this is like
very much good.
this is to modern day Star Trek like what Ahsoka showing up in The Mandalorian was a previously animated only character
Mm,
showing up in live action. So it's a big thing, and it was
yeah.
awesome because I saw before Comic-Con weekend the announcement that they were going to do a special pre-screening of the episode at Comic-Con.
Which
Unfortunately, at the same
sadly I did
time,
not get to go because of Jay's stupid toy tuber panel. It's
uh,
fine.
we are live.
You're lucky to be friends with me, have my friendship. It's fine. I've known him for over half my life. I'm like, I'm not missing your
Yeah, there's no
panel.
way you could skip the toy tuber panel. Um,
No, it was great. Pixel Dan, Mad Hatter, Toy
I'm glad they were
Anxiety,
able to stream
toying
it. It was
around.
really fun to
Hmm.
watch.
I hope
But
my
yeah,
comment went through.
I forgot to go back and check. But
I'll
yeah,
have to go back and check. Anyways.
I saw that they were doing the preview stream at SDCC for it, and then
Hmm.
on the day of, it was like, hey, it's on Paramount Plus, and I was like, that's fantastic.
Hmm.
So that was really great.
Usually, mm, it depends, but a lot of times if they show clips, like they did with Rings of Power, if they show clips, they're not going to show those online ever. But a lot of times if they do whole episodes, they'll put them up within like a few days to a week tops. That seems to be how it works with Comic-Con. Colleen. Yeah, I was watching from behind her and she's like, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, click
Turn it
the
on.
end
Do I start the stream?
button.
I also thought it
I
was.
wasn't looking at it, but I was just like in my head, I'm like, click the end button.
Uh, I also thought it was doubly cool that not only did they release this episode early, but they're not
Hmm.
skipping a week. They're going to release episode 8 on this coming Thursday. Uh, and that's especially
Yeah.
super cool with because a lot of the streaming platforms are going to be like trying to hoard and hold on to their content and spread it out because of the strikes that are going on. So it was really cool that they're not like pushing the next
Yeah.
episode back even further. Um,
I mean, I liked it in theory, but
well, yeah,
having to prep for this.
yeah,
I still enjoyed it. Like I this episode was amazing, like we just said. It was fun and yeah, I think if you even if you hadn't watched any of Lower Decks, like, you know, I think if I hadn't watched the first episode, I still would have really enjoyed it. It was good to have like a little bit of background. But yeah, I think you get to know the characters pretty quickly anyways. They do a really good job at what's the word? Fast tracking,
mm,
expediting their character development. Um or just character like telling you all you need to know about this character, essentially, within a short amount of time. Um, yeah, I think they did a great job with it, and it was funny, but it was also heartfelt, and acting was great.
And heart
Uh,
wrenching.
what?
And heart wrenching.
Yes, heart wrenching too, with a lot of things. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that's most I have to say about it. Do you have anything else? Like general thoughts?
Not general thoughts. No, mostly specific parts I want to call out.
Okay.
Some of them are in. Two of them are in memes, I think, as well.
Okay.
We talked about one of them already. The when they're at the table in the briefing room, and Una's like, "Have you noticed their references are oddly specific?"
Yes, and they talk about, I wrote this down, stuck in San Francisco in the middle of a riot.
Dystopia in San Francisco in the middle of the riot. Yep. And the
Mm-hmm.
Boimler was talking about something about the Bell riots. The
Mm-hmm.
Bell riots are a big thing in Star Trek history.
Mm. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Don't have to tell me anything.
And that's Deep Space Nine, so that's a long ways to go.
Okay. Go ahead. You have all the things.
Um, them in the shuttlecraft when they're trying to send the secret message, which apparently they succeeded at, even though Pike said Uhura monitors communication and blocked it, but Lon got them. You mentioned Boimler's wiggle walk down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
The whole episode, I watched this like 3 times the day it came out, just staring at the screen, going, "This is fantastic," like the whole time.
So good. I wish I had been at the panel. I did know someone that saw it though, and they thought it was cool. And then also Shatner had his little talk at the end of the day, which I didn't have time for either, sadly. But I've heard he's not the best person, anyways.
Yeah. So,
Anyways,
should we go to memes?
do you want to do lines from the episode?
Oh, I covered the so I
Oh,
covered
okay.
everything that I wanted to cover, like and the other ones are in memes. So,
Okay.
what lines do you have from?
I already named some of them. Oh shoot. I just realized this needs to be, I have to add one line for that's what they said. Sorry, I just burped. Y'all are welcome.
You'll have to read it because I don't have access to
I mean, I can send it to you on Discord. Okay. Oh, when when Mariner is like, "This is her. Don't ruin this for me. I will end your life."
my. Yeah.
And then she also says, she has so many great lines. I thrive on the grid. I require grid.
Yeah. That one too. Mm-hmm.
Oh, loved Pelia's line. I when she's quoting someone else, I always pretended who I wanted to be until I became that someone or he became me. Honestly, so real.
Apparently, that's a Cary Grant quote.
Oh, okay.
But I forgot about that too. That moment where, of course, Boimler goes to the warp core for, like, I don't know what the word is, consolation, to center himself, because that was part of the
Mm.
first episode of Lower Decks when
Mm-hmm.
I love the warp core. The warp core is great. And Pelly is like, there's nothing quite as calming as the thrum of a properly calibrated warp core.
She's so good. And then her line of, "Careful with my floor. I use that."
And Spock's response: "It is illogical to assume you are the only one."
So good. I think that was it. Yeah. So yeah, do you want to do memes and then that's what they said?
Let's do that's what they said first.
Okay. So let's go back to Lost in Translation and do those. Have a good one, Thanos. Thanks for joining. Okay. Lost in Translation. You can go first.
Their presence is growing.
Here is where you'll find it.
It's not as bad as it looks.
Records are made to be broken.
See how big it grows?
Always happy to be of service. Okay, now
That is
for
it
this one.
Lost in Translation. So this is for those old scientists.
So I have to say this one. So me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you. You go first again.
Okay. Just press right here.
I like ours better too.
Touching this can't possibly change the future, right?
We can't just not look, can we?
This might be a second.
Time to find out if this is really one of my greatest strengths.
I could use the extra pair of hands.
I'd like a moment alone with them both.
My arms don't normally do this.
That was great. How would you like to be persuaded? Yay! That's what they said.
Those old scientists. So
Mm-hmm.
let me get ready here. We'll go to memes. We don't have our spoilers without context. I think we'll get back on track and have actual spoilers without context next week for episode 8.
Are we?
Maybe. If not, we'll
Sure.
have memes of some sort.
We'll see.
Memes of one flavor or another.
Yeah, or both. It's hard to find them. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There will be memes. There will always be memes. Gotta have the memes. Sometime. It was good. I did like that parallel.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did that on purpose or not.
It's a good thought. I actually just rewatched those 3 movies. Star Trek.
Stop. I started watching the first one the other day.
And Beyond. I watched them over the weekend.
How funny.
Because I hadn't seen them probably since each of them came out.
I haven't seen them in so long.
At least since... I have not watched any of them since Star Trek Beyond came out.
Yeah.
Maybe
that was good.
I'm not going to say anything here because I'm sure we're going to talk about them at some point. So
yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
Far in the future.
So
this one I didn't understand, but I was like, I'm guessing other people will.
Yes, and it's fantastic because I watched the Ready Room, which is like the Star Trek after show on YouTube, the official one by Paramount. So Jonathan Frakes, who played Commander William Riker in Star Trek: The Next Generation, is really tall and has back problems. So anytime he went to sit down on a chair, he stepped over the back of it, and it came to be known as the Riker maneuver. Like he'd step over the back of the chair and sit down.
What the fuck? I need to visually see this because I'm confused how this works. You don't have to do it right now. I can look it up.
No, I'm going to do it right now because I want...
Okay. Fuck it.
There are YouTube compilations of
sure
this happening.
Just don't get copyright.
No, we shouldn't. I'm going to do this and change what I'm sharing. Here we go. I muted it, so it's just steps over the chair. That's the Riker maneuver. Comes in, Steps over the chair.
What the heck? Oh my god. And leaves that way?
Yep. Steps
So
over the
yeah,
back of the chair.
so how does that help when you have bad hips?
I don't know.
though?
That's the story, that because he's so tall and had back
Interesting.
issues, that's how he sat down in chairs. He stepped over the back of them. So that's the Riker maneuver. So
Okay.
Jonathan Frakes
Interesting.
directed this episode. So
Amazing.
Jack Quaid's here in front of this saddle, and apparently this was ad-libbed by Jack Quaid on the spot, right in front of Jonathan Frakes as he's directing. He just calls out Riker and steps up over the back of the saddle.
That was great. And is that the saddle he had for the horse that was in the beginning, the first episode? I'm guessing.
I'm assuming
maybe?
that's what it is. It's Pike's saddle
Yeah.
for his horse.
So
that's the whole thing with this meme.
Love. That's great.
Then we move to
Yes.
Pike is thoroughly had it with these two. Because remember Star Trek being competency fantasy? These two are not that.
No, they're not. They're complete opposite of that.
And this one kind of ties into the same thing. Pike is. It was kind of funny seeing Pike like legitimately frustrated, because he's given looks to Erica throughout the season too. Like Erica will make some snide comment at the helm, like I think it was during the final, I forget the title, but the final episode of season 1, where she's like, "Sure, fly into the giant gas cloud that's trying to kill us. Great idea." And Pike's like, just do it, Erica. So we got lots of that Pike in
yes, so good, so good.
We're about 4 episodes away in the original series from you knowing who this gentleman is. But yes, Star Trek is very campy.
Oh, don't I know it. This was so good. That scene was absolutely hilarious, and he's just freaking out because he's just so much like his animated character.
He was.
Yes, OG Pike was hot.
Are we talking about? We're talking about Jeffrey Hunter, not Alex Kenny, I think was the name, the guy in the chair. Because he had loads of prosthesis on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this scene was great because I loved. Sparks. Are Sparks bad? Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, yes. And he's calmly walking away and saying that, like typical Spock.
Yep.
Because if I saw that, I would be like, oh, that's fine. He's like, no, not fine. Duck there. Whoever died to that shot.
That was Jeffrey Hunter. He didn't die. He was just too expensive and didn't want to do television. He was a film actor, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah, Klingons are all about honor. Worf is a Klingon. I don't really know how this is spoilers without context.
I have no idea.
But it tracks.
I just found it. Oh, the bottom got cut off on this.
Oh, yeah, I can see it on my screen. So it's Mariner and Boimler, and this was the line where I'm like, Kayla's like, Mariner is my spirit animal.
Yep.
Look, I'm going to keep this like 100% profesh, but I was thoroughly unprepared for how hot young Spock was going to be.
Like the face, the body, the ears. Oh my God. So good. So good. Yeah, that's all of us.
Allison, you need to watch the Menagerie Part 2, which we'll be covering this Thursday on our regular TOS Trek Retrek.
Yep.
So we covered the Menagerie
this time.
Part 1 last week. Menagerie Part 2 this week will show us the fate of Captain Pike.
Yep. It will.
That was it.
Good
That is
episode.
it for memes.
All the memes, all done. Shall we rank?
Oh,
Oops.
sorry.
Just you.
Clicked
Just
the
your
wrong
ranking. Yeah?
Everybody, this is your 3-day warning.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 days.
Go watch the Menagerie Part 1 because you probably haven't, and the Menagerie Part 2 for our coverage on Thursday. Trek Retrek, same geek time, same geek channel, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific,
Look
8
at you
Central,
go.
7 Mountain.
Oh my gosh. You don't need to get that specific. That's too much.
Listen,
yeah, I was gonna say
the Central and Mountain
free on
time
Pluto.
zones.
It's
Yes.
free on Pluto. Pluto, sponsor us, Pluto.
Everybody,
also Paramount Plus.
regular Star Trek, the original series, not Star
Yes.
Trek Strange New Worlds.
Not
Listen,
Strange New Worlds.
hi Pains. The Central and Mountain time zones get neglected all the
Yes,
time.
They do.
Although it used to be, I think it was back when it was more regional. I remember cable television in the 80s, 90s. It was always 6 or 7, 6 Central or 8, 7 Central.
A lot of places still do Central now.
Okay. I hear Eastern and Pacific a lot more these days than I used to hear Eastern and Central. I don't know if out on
It's
the
just
West Coast
easier.
it was more Pacific and Mountain, since they're like
the middle of the
shots
country.
fired. It is like
it's
the
not
least
it's not the middle of the country that's less important. It's a certain lower part.
people that live there.
Yeah. That are still stuck in 50 years ago.
Anyway,
Aye.
enough about time zones. Let's rank the episodes. Lost in Translation.
I'm gonna give that a Commander.
I was also going to give that Commander.
It was good, solid. I would watch it. I don't think you absolutely have to watch it, but watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's more central. Rick just said there's more central on the West Coast. Weirdly enough, I don't know. I think they do Pacific and East because it's like the ends of the country.
They are the
at
most
least for most
densely,
of the country.
They are the most densely populated time zones in the country.
That's
I believe,
true.
because you've got New York in the east and Los Angeles in the west. Like,
yeah.
I also give Lost in Translation Commander for basically the same reasons. You should definitely watch it, but if we're going by our ranking system, is it absolutely must watch? I don't think so. It does do a lot with the crew coming to terms a little late with Hemmer being gone.
I mean, they've kind of been a little late. Like, they didn't deal with Una like first episode off the bat. They dealt with that second. So it seems like they're kind of, well, because they also seem to make them somewhat character centric. Some more so, some less. So I think it just took them a while to get there. But I think in terms of time, it really has not been that long. It just seems long because it's so many episodes away from that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a great episode and you should watch it, but is it 100% required viewing? I don't think so. I think if you're only going for must watch episodes, this doesn't need to be one of them.
No. Okay.
Oh, it's been a while since we've had a Natalie Imbruglia reference. From the song Torn, Natalie Imbruglia, Torn. It's too late.
If I heard it, I would recognize it. I'm not good with names and artists of songs. I listen to a lot of fucking music, but not so good with those.
It's a 90s song?
I'll have to look it up
Um,
after.
yeah. Let's rank those old scientists.
Captain. Easy.
I'm
It was
glad that
great.
you're ranking it captain and you're new to
Lower dicks.
Strange New Worlds and brand new to Lower Decks. You've only watched one edited
Lower dicks.
Lower
Get it
Decks,
right.
one edited spoiler free episode, and you're still ranking this episode captain.
Yeah, because it's
I think it's
fun. I think,
phenomenal.
yeah, I think anyone seeing this without seeing any lower dicks would appreciate it. Yeah. I swear I will know the song. I
The
know a lot
minute
of
you hear like
music.
the first note of the
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah.
song,
But like it could, unless it's something I listen to a lot of, I probably won't know the name, like purposefully listen to, because sometimes I'll just like listen to playlists and just like not look at whatever the name of the song is, or if it's on the radio or whatever. But like I have my certain artists that I will listen to more so, and I know all of those things. But oh gosh. Okay. Anyways,
I will
yes.
also give those old scientists a rank of captain.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know what else I can say about it. It's a
It's
phenomenal
great.
episode. I'm a big
Watch it.
fan of Lower Decks. A lot of
Lower
people
dicks.
poo-pooed on Lower Decks because it's animated. I can't take it seriously. One, fuck off. It's not supposed to be
Yeah.
serious for one. Um,
Like,
I
would you say
saw
the same thing about the Spider-Verse movies? No.
some people do. I saw some comments about this episode and why people are not watching Lower Deck Sticks. Because it's animation and animation isn't for adults and they can't be taken seriously. Animation was created for adults. Looney Tunes, like the original Mickey Mouse cartoons. Flintstones was not a children's show when it was airing. Like animation has always been for everybody.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
Brick, all the Cerritos is a California class starship. All those starships are named after places in California. You probably
I
know
was
that,
gonna
but that's the
say
point.
it sounded familiar. That makes sense now.
We've been saying both, Allison. We've been saying lower deck and lower dick. If you say
Yes.
it fast enough, you can't really tell
Dicks.
which one it is.
Ducks. Same.
Yeah,
You'll never know.
there was apparently a giveaway at the Paramount Lodge over SDCC weekend of a California class pin that I didn't see until the weekend was over. I would have loved to have had that, but
The lodge
maybe
was impossible. I was not about to try.
maybe next year, or maybe they'll have
Yeah,
extras that they'll
we'll
put
have
up
to
for
get you
sale.
in. Just getting the Strange New Worlds the Subspace Rhapsody poster, they had the fire marshal come in because it was that insane to try to get it. I did not try to get it. I didn't even know what was going on until I went by the booth and they had completely shut it down. I was like, what's happening? And they told me that. And I was like, what the fuck, over a poster? Like, things are crazy when I tried to see Cosmo, the space dog. And this was over a poster.
One,
People go absolutely insane there. It is a whole other universe.
there was a Kermit the Frog coffee commercial too, not related, but yeah.
Hmm.
One, that sucks that they had to call in a fire marshal and shut things down. Two,
Just in that
on the
booth.
flip side, that's also awesome for the popularity of Star Trek these
Yeah.
days.
I waited in
With the
line
things
for
that
an
are going on.
hour. Yeah, I waited in line for an hour at the booth to get my picture in the captain's chair, and then they did like a really cool like 3D space scene, and you can choose which one you wanted. Um Unfortunately, the lighting there is shit, so I didn't really like them. But I may share one of the pictures. But the like video thing they did, I was like, this is bad. This is bad. They really need to have their own lighting there and not just the overhead lighting, because that
Yeah.
is so bad.
I don't remember
Anyways,
what their presence at SDCC was like last year.
I don't.
Um,
I wasn't into Star Trek then, so I did not pay attention. But usually
but
they always have a panel. They always have a big panel
yeah,
like they did this year. But yeah, we can get more into that Thursday night. We're gonna talk about SDCC, y'all. So tune in. Maybe like 7:30. We'll figure it out, but because we have to do the Pacific time zones.
How do they work?
7:15, 7:30, right after our TOS episode.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what next year's looks like, and we might have to look at like going in an official capacity next year.
Yeah, we can apply for press.
Yeah.
See how that works. If not, have connections.
Sounds good.
I always have connections. It's great.
So, the next episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Under the Cloak of War. Captain Pike and his crew welcome a Klingon defector aboard the USS Enterprise, but his presence triggers the revelation of some shocking secrets.
Interesting.
I think this is the first time we'll see the Klingons on Strange New Worlds.
I think so. I think that's right.
You're familiar with Klingons, I'm assuming, mostly from Into Darkness.
Which I don't really remember too much. I need to finish watching those movies.
Fleshed out. From what I remembered from just watching them, they weren't really fleshed out very much in that movie.
Okay. Interesting.
So that'll be interesting because they are. It'll be interesting when we come across them in the original series. But I think that about does it. So thank you everybody for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks. Make sure to smack that.
Oh no, we did
episode 1.
Yeah, of this season. On was drinking with them.
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. That and those were very Klingon. So yeah, we know Klingons.
Smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon, smack all the things. Follow us on at GTFO channel on Instagram, Twitter, Threads. If you want to email us, it is channelgtfo@gmail.com. It's a little bit different than the rest. Feel free to email us some memes. We can share them with y'all. And Thursday, we'll be talking about the Menagerie Part 2 at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And then following that sometime, 7:15, 7:30 Pacific, we will be talking about SDCC, and I will be unboxing all the shit I got. It is a lot of shit, but it is awesome shit, including Mommy Motherboard. I will be unboxing her. I'm very excited about that. And Johnny will be getting his as well, but I don't think he's going to be getting his until Friday. You might have it Thursday. You might get it Thursday. Who knows?
You shipped it UPS yesterday. So
I did. It said on the thing Friday, though. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to find the picture. I think I have the picture on here. All right. But yeah, so tune for that. I will probably be on Toy Habits tomorrow night, also talking about Comic-Con, but it's going to be a more general talking about Comic-Con, whereas like we're going to like get into it and also unbox the things and then showing more personal pictures.
Are we still? I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, so I'm going to put something in the private chat. Are we still doing that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I looked at the thing. It is not valid after yesterday.
Oh.
Good thing I checked that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks for coming.
That wraps it up. So,
yeah.
I'm Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla. Peace and long life.
Live long and prosper. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.